in the grand theater of world politics, there are moments, rare and fleeting, when a single meeting can alter the course of history. On August 21, the world's gaze will fall on Moscow, where India's Foreign Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, steps into the halls of power, carrying not just the weight of a nation, but the quiet hope of a billion souls. The air will be thick with expectation, the stakes higher than ever. For in the delicate balance of diplomacy, one word, one handshake, can tip the scales toward peace or plunge us deeper into uncertainty. And so we ask, can this man, in this place, on this day, change the game? Strategic timing of Jaishankar's visit, India's balancing act between global powers, Russia's role in a shifting world order, potential breakthroughs in energy and trade, implications for regional stability and global diplomacy. The timing of Jaishankar's visit to Russia on August 21 is far from coincidental. In diplomacy, dates are chosen with the precision of a chess move, and this particular moment comes as the world stands at a crossroads. The geopolitical landscape is shifting rapidly, with old alliances being tested and new alignments quietly taking shape. The war in Ukraine continues to reshape Europe's security architecture. Tensions between the West and Russia remain at a boiling point, and the global South is emerging as a more assertive voice in international affairs. Against this backdrop, India has chosen this precise moment to send its most seasoned diplomat into Moscow's corridors of power. This isn't just a courtesy call, it's a calculated maneuver designed to influence outcomes while the world watches. The timing also reflects the delicate balance India must maintain in its foreign policy, with relations deepening with the United States and other Western nations on one side, and a long-standing strategic partnership with Russia on the other. India is walking a fine diplomatic tightrope. August 21 offers an opportunity to engage Russia directly at a time when Moscow is actively seeking to strengthen ties outside the West due to unprecedented sanctions and isolation. By arriving at such a critical juncture, Jaishankar signals that India is not a passive observer, but a proactive player ready to shape the discourse. Beyond the headlines, timing matters because it determines leverage. The world's attention will be tuned to developments from Moscow, amplifying the significance of any agreements or statements made. At the same time, the meeting takes place just before several high-profile global summits, where India's position will be closely scrutinized. This creates a window in which Jaishankar can gather assurances, float proposals, and secure commitments that will resonate on larger international stages in the weeks to follow. From Russia's perspective, the visit arrives at a moment when the Kremlin needs to demonstrate it still has influential partners willing to engage openly. India's arrival not only offers Moscow a diplomatic lifeline, but also sends a message to other nations that global politics is no longer a binary East-West equation. This symbolism is magnified by the fact that India holds a unique place in global trade, defense cooperation, and energy partnerships, areas where timing and agreements can have immediate tangible consequences. There's also a personal element to this moment. Jaishankar is known for his ability to navigate complex, high-pressure environments with both tact and firmness. His presence in Moscow at this exact time reflects a confidence in his ability to read the room, understand the undercurrents, and subtly steer conversations toward outcomes favorable for India's strategic goal. Timing amplifies influence, and in the intricate dance of diplomacy, arriving too early risks irrelevance, while arriving too late risks missing the moment entirely. On August 21, India will arrive neither early nor late, but precisely when the world is most in need of decisive dialogue. If you want, I can expand point 2 next in the same cinematic Morgan Freeman tone, so the speech flows naturally. India's position on the world stage has always been one of careful navigation, but in today's climate, that balancing act has become more intricate than ever. The nation finds itself in a unique position, courted by the West for its democratic values, economic potential, and strategic location, while maintaining deep-rooted ties with Russia that date back decades. This dual alignment is not accidental. It is the product of deliberate policy choices designed to keep India's strategic autonomy intact. Jaishankar's visit to Moscow embodies this philosophy, showing the world that India will not be pushed into choosing one camp over another. The West sees India as a critical partner in countering China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. Washington, London, Paris, and other capitals have increased defense cooperation, technology transfers, and investment. On the other hand, Russia remains a key supplier of military hardware, a long-time collaborator in space and nuclear energy projects, and a partner in shaping alternative trade corridors. Cutting off either relationship would be strategically costly for India, which is why its diplomacy requires maintaining equilibrium, engaging deeply with both without allowing one to overshadow the other. This balancing act is not without its challenge. Every handshake with Moscow risks raising eyebrows in Western capitals, while every strategic alignment with the West can trigger skepticism in Russia. Yet, India has managed to cultivate a position where it can have meaningful conversations with both sides, even when they stand in open opposition to each other. This rare diplomatic leverage allows New Delhi to play a role in conflict mediation, energy negotiations, and global trade discussions that few other countries can claim. The visit to Russia on August 21 is a vivid demonstration of this skill. At a time when Moscow is isolated from the West, India's engagement sends a message that dialogue is still possible outside traditional power blocks. Simultaneously, India's growing defense, technology, and trade relationships with the United States and Europe reassure the West that this is not a pivot away from them, but a continuation of its independent path. Jaishankar's role is to make sure both sides understand that India's decisions are rooted in its national interest, not in the agendas of others. Balancing between major powers also offers India opportunities for negotiation leverage. By engaging with Russia, India can secure favorable terms for energy imports, defense contracts, and infrastructure collaborations. By engaging with the West, it can attract investment, advanced technologies, and strategic intelligence cooperation. The art lies in ensuring that one relationship strengthens the other, rather than undermines it. This requires not only political foresight, but also the personal diplomatic skill that Jaishankar has honed over decades. In the end, India's balancing act is not about sitting on the fence. It's about building bridges where others see walls. By walking confidently between these two global poles, India maintains its sovereignty, safeguards its interests, and positions itself as a voice of reason in a fractured world. And on August 21, that delicate dance will once again be on full display. Russia's role in the current global order is undergoing a transformation, one driven as much by necessity as by ambition. Once a central pillar of a bipolar world during the Cold War, and later a power that sought to integrate with Western economic and political systems, Moscow now finds itself at the heart of a very different geopolitical reality. Western sanctions, the prolonged conflict in Ukraine, and a tightening of economic and technological restrictions have forced Russia to look beyond its traditional partnership. It is pivoting toward Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East, seeking to build an alternative network of alliance. In this shifting landscape, India's presence is more than symbolic. It is a reminder to the world that Russia still has partners who can bridge the gap between East and West. This realignment is not simply about survival, it's also about influence. Russia understands that it can no longer rely solely on its past status to command global attention. Instead, it is attempting to reframe itself as a champion of a multipolar world, one where no single bloc dominates the economic, political, or security agenda. For Moscow, partnerships with countries like India are critical to achieving that vision. India's credibility as a democratic, rapidly developing nation with a history of non-alignment makes it an ideal interlocutor, capable of engaging with powers on both sides of the geopolitical divide. Jaishankar's visit to Moscow on August 21 fits neatly into this context. From Russia's perspective, it is an opportunity to showcase that despite intense Western pressure, it remains relevant in global diplomacy. The Kremlin will likely use this engagement to signal that its relationships with rising powers are not only intact, but deepening. This is particularly important as Russia works to expand its influence in energy markets, arms sales, and infrastructure projects, Through organizations like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, India's participation and cooperation in these frameworks give Russia both legitimacy and strategic depth. Energy remains one of the most tangible areas of cooperation. Russia's vast reserves of oil, gas, and coal are attractive to energy-hungry economy, and India's willingness to purchase discounted Russian energy during times of sanctions sends a clear message. New Delhi will prioritize its own national interests, even if they diverge from Western expectations. This energy partnership also allows Russia to diversify its markets, reducing its dependency on China as a sole major buyer in Asia. Beyond trade, Russia's role as a military technology provider remains vital. Decades of defense collaboration have built trust and interoperability between the two nations' armed forces. While India is diversifying its defense suppliers, Russia's experience and willingness to co-develop military technology continue to keep it relevant. In the grander scheme, Russia's role in a shifting world order is less about leading a single bloc and more about ensuring it has enough partnerships to avoid isolation. By keeping India close, Moscow not only secures an important ally in Asia, but also gains a diplomatic bridge to a wider international audience, something it needs now more than ever. Energy and trade are the lifeblood of modern diplomacy, and in the case of India and Russia, they form one of the most pragmatic pillars of their relationship. Over the past 2 years, the economic dimension between the two nations has deepened significantly, driven in large part by shifting global circumstances. Western sanctions on Moscow have forced Russia to find new markets for its energy exports, while India, grappling with rising energy demands and price volatility, has seized the opportunity to secure long-term discounted supply. This has created a mutually beneficial arrangement where geopolitical turbulence has translated into economic cooperation. Jaishankar's upcoming visit on August 21 comes at a time when both countries are looking to consolidate these gains and potentially expand them into new areas. Energy in particular is an area ripe for deeper collaboration. Russia has become one of India's top suppliers of crude oil, significantly increasing shipments since sanctions reduced its access to Western market. These purchases not only provide India with cost savings, but also help ensure a steady supply that supports its growing industrial and transportation needs. Beyond oil, discussions are likely to focus on liquefied natural gas, coal, and even renewable energy partnerships. For Russia, diversifying its energy buyers is crucial to reduce its heavy reliance on China, and India's vast and growing market offers an attractive alternative. Trade opportunities extend beyond energy. With the rupee-ruble payment mechanism being explored and tested, both sides are working to bypass the dollar-dominated financial system. This is not just an economic decision, but a strategic one, aimed at reducing vulnerability to sanctions and currency fluctuation. If refined and implemented effectively, this mechanism could become a model for other countries seeking alternative payment arrangements, positioning India and Russia as leaders in building a more multipolar financial architecture. Infrastructure development and connectivity projects also play a role in the trade equation. The International North-South Transport Corridor, which links India to Russia via Iran and Central Asia, promises to cut transport costs and shipping times dramatically. Such a route could unlock greater volumes of goods moving between the two nations, ranging from agricultural products and pharmaceuticals to machinery and defense components. Strengthening this corridor would not only benefit bilateral trade, but also position both countries as critical nodes in regional supply chains. Technology and defense-related trade also remain on the table. Joint production of military hardware, space cooperation, and nuclear energy projects have long been part of the relationship, and there is room to expand these ventures into sectors like cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and advanced manufacturing. With Western technology transfer often entangled in political conditions, Russia's more flexible approach appeals to India's need for rapid capability development. The potential breakthroughs in energy and trade are not just about economics. They are about building resilience. By securing reliable supplies, diversifying trade routes, and developing independent financial channels, India and Russia can shield themselves from external pressures. On August 21, the groundwork could be laid for deals that will shape their economic and strategic ties for years to come. Regional stability and global diplomacy are often intertwined, and in today's climate, the decisions made by influential nations can send ripples far beyond their immediate borders. India's engagement with Russia is not only about bilateral gains, it is also about influencing the strategic environment in Asia, Europe, and beyond. On August 21, when Jaishankar steps into discussions in Moscow, the implications could stretch from the Indo-Pacific to the Middle East, from Central Asia to the United Nations. In an era where alliances are fragile and global order is in flux, even small diplomatic shifts can alter the balance in ways that are felt worldwide. For India, maintaining stability in its own neighborhood is a constant challenge. China's assertiveness, Pakistan's volatility, and the fragile security environment in Afghanistan all require careful management. Russia's influence in Central Asia, its growing partnership with China, and its historical role in Afghanistan mean it remains an important factor in regional security. By strengthening dialogue with Moscow, India positions itself to have a voice in matters that directly impact its borders and its long-term security. It also ensures that Russia, despite its deepening ties with China, continues to view India as an essential strategic partner in Asia. Beyond the immediate region, Russia's role in conflict zones such as Syria, Ukraine, and parts of Africa places it at the center of global diplomatic conversations. While India does not take sides in every conflict, it benefits from having the ear of all major players. This allows New Delhi to act as a bridge in global diplomacy, whether it is facilitating humanitarian aid, mediating in trade disputes, or offering back-channel communications between rival powers. Jaishankar's visit reinforces India's identity as a nation that can talk to everyone, even when others cannot. Stability is not just about preventing war, it is also about creating conditions for sustainable peace. Energy security, trade corridors, and technological cooperation all contribute to the kind of environment in which nations can focus on development rather than conflict. Russia's resources and strategic location, combined with India's growing economic influence, create opportunities for collaborative projects that anchor stability in volatile regions. For example, infrastructure links through Central Asia or maritime security initiatives in the Indian Ocean could serve both nations' interests while promoting broader regional calm. On the global stage, India's engagement with Russia also has a signaling effect. It shows that diplomacy remains a viable tool even in an era of deep mistrust and polarized politics. This is particularly relevant for nations in the global south, many of which are watching closely to see whether countries like India can maintain independent foreign policies without alienating any major power. A successful visit could encourage others to adopt similar strategies, creating a more balanced and multipolar diplomatic environment. Ultimately, the August 21 talks are about more than one meeting. They are about demonstrating that stability in today's world requires diverse partnerships, open channels of communication, and the courage to engage even when it is politically inconvenient. If handled skillfully, the outcomes could resonate far beyond India and Russia, subtly shaping the tone and direction of global diplomacy in the months and years ahead. In the end, what unfolds on August 21 will not be measured solely by the agreements signed, the joint statements released, or the polite photographs taken for the press. Its true significance will lie in the quiet shifts it sets in motion, the subtle recalibrations in how nations see one another, and the pathways it opens for dialogue in a world that too often seems intent on closing doors. This is not just a meeting between two governments, it is a test of whether diplomacy still has the power to bridge divides in an age of hardened positions and fractured truth. Jaishankar's mission to Moscow is a reminder that influence is not always wielded through grand gestures or loud declarations. Sometimes it is earned through patience, persistence, and the courage to engage when it would be easier to retreat into silence. It is a recognition that India's role in the world is not to be a bystander to history, but to be present at the crossroads, listening, persuading, and shaping outcomes in ways that serve both its people and the larger cause of stability. As the sun sets on August 21, the headlines may focus on specific deals or diplomatic soundbites, But the deeper story will be about the positioning of a nation that refuses to be defined by the choices of others. Whether the day marks a small step forward or a decisive turning point, it will stand as proof that in the delicate art of statecraft, timing, balance, and resolve can still move the pieces on the global chessboard. And perhaps, just perhaps, history will remember this as the moment when quiet diplomacy helped the world inch closer to a new equilibrium.